Hello, welcome to Colorado's Best Kitchens magazine, and I'm Chef Mark. Today we're talking about texture. We know texture in food is something that chefs use to make food more interesting. You'll often notice that there's a crunch included in the dessert. That's why I love creme brulee so much. Designers are using texture in homes to provide a visual crunch. You've seen a moss wall, you've seen painted tile and backsplashes, living edges. These are all things that provide texture in home in detail. So I thought I would apply my skills as a chef and create a dish that's all about texture. And that's what I've done today. So stick around because we're gonna have a lot of fun. What's on the menu today? Well, we're making salmon. And what makes this salmon unique is that we're leaving the skin on. Now bear with me. If you remove the salmon off the skin, you want to put the belly side down on the pan first to get a nice sear on that. But if you leave the skin on, reverse the operation. The salmon skin goes down in the pan and we're going to crisp that up so we get some salmon bacon. That's wonderful texture. What else are we making? Well, we're making a slaw. Slaw is going to have a nice vegetable crunch. It's autumn, so I'm going to be using apples and radishes. I also have one of the secrets you'll see a lot of chefs use is toasted panko breadcrumbs. Just a little sprinkle on top offers just a little bit of crunch where you might not expect it. And then we're going to finish that up with some delicious grits. Let's get cooking. For the slaw, I'm going to use a mandolin. And it's a law in my kitchens when you're using a mandolin, you got to use a cut glove. I like the smaller apple. I find they're a little easier to work with and they're really delicious. Some radishes as well. And finally, I'm gonna do a little bit of celery. Just gonna give that a quick slice. Dressing the slaw couldn't be more simple. We're gonna use some citrus, some lemon. And when you're using your citrus juicer, put the flat side down. Okay, half a lemon should do it. And here's a secret ingredient you'll see in a lot of kitchens. This is gastrique. And what this is this is equal parts vinegar and sugar that have been cooked together. It gives a sweet and sour flavor. Just gonna add a little bit of that. Salt. We're gonna season every part of our meal, every movement. And then we're just gonna let this marinate for a few moments. To complement our crispy salmon bacon, we're gonna make some grits. This is very simple. I'm not Southern, so I'm not too proud to use instant grits. 5 minutes versus an hour. Got some chicken broth here as well. And it's a 4-to-1 ratio, so that means 4 parts liquid to 1 part grits. I find it's important to measure here a little bit at least, just because we want them to be nice and creamy, and it's not a terrible idea to be a little precise here. All right, 4-to-1. Of course, I'm working on induction, which means this will boil instantly. I'm gonna put this on boost. Lovely. Here we go. Okay. And bring this to a boil, reduce to a simmer. And what are we gonna add to these grits? Scallions and red pepper for color. My favorite part of cooking? Knife skills. Now, onto red pepper. So I'm just gonna bring my pot over to my cutting board and just slide my ingredients in. It's critical that you preheat your pan. So my pan is sitting here. It's gonna add just a touch of vegetable oil here, just a thin veneer. Salmon being a fatty fish, some oil will come out of it. Skin side down. 1 and 2. Now we wait, and add half a stick of butter. And I'm going to reserve some to add to my salmon as well. Need to add a touch of salt. My chicken stock is a little salty, so I can be light on the salt here. And of course, let's season our fish as well. Just a small knob of butter in this pan to assist with browning. We don't want to flip too soon. Once you flip, you lose that initial thermal connection. You lose the ability for your proteins to caramelize. So this requires patience. All right, I can tell my fish is ready to flip because the sear is coming up around the edges. It is delicate, you need to be careful. Very nice. Wonderful. We're just gonna let that hang out for another minute, and then we're gonna do our plates. All right, we're ready to plate. I have my grits here. I'm just gonna go into the center of my plate. I did mine the whole way in the pan. You could certainly put this in the oven as well if you'd like it a little bit more done. The slaw, I like to keep this room temperature or even chilled. And then finally I have a couple garnishes, my toasted panko breadcrumbs. And finally, my gastrique. Just gonna finish the outside of the plate. And there we have it. We have our seared salmon bacon, a vegetable slaw with radishes and apples. We're on soft polenta with toasted panko breadcrumbs. I think this is packed full of flavor and texture, and I can't wait to tuck in. This is Chef Mark with Colorado's Best Kitchens. Thanks for tuning in.